One of the biggest questions when you're first planning a Disney trip is whether to stay on property or off property, and that's our topic today. This is episode 26. I am Sariah.
I'm Aurora.
And together we're just your average Disney travelers. All right, so before we get to our topic, we forgot to mention last week when we were talking about Disneyland news, one really important thing that you have been excited about and looking forward to for a couple of years, and what is that?
The Avengers Campus.
When is it opening?
June 4th.
June 4th. Yeah.
Just making sure it didn't mess up like the day.
Yeah, June 4th. And so we have an opening date that's super exciting. As of right now, it's still just for California residents, but that means though, when the rest of us can go, it'll be available. So that's exciting. Did you know your aunt and uncle already have tickets to go after it opens?
No.
Debbie and Lucas. Yeah, they're excited. So you're going to have them give you a report after. So that's cool. Another piece of Disneyland news that we're excited about, just this last week, it was confirmed that the state of California has said that actually out-of-state guests who are fully vaccinated are allowed to go to theme parks when those theme parks are ready to accept them. So Disneyland has not yet changed their stance. They've actually right now are staying with the California residents. But what this means is when Disney feels comfortable, they have the approval from the government to allow fully vaccinated out-of-state guests. And so that's exciting. And it also indicates that that's probably the next step. I think some of us were just kind of expecting or maybe just assuming that it would be any out-of-state guests. It looks like it might be, this is the next step. You have to be a fully vaccinated out-of-state guest. And then maybe they'll have, and I don't know, maybe it will go just straight to all out-of-state guests, but this indicates that it might hit the fully vaccinated first and then afterwards. Now this is your fair warning. If you are out of state and want to go to Disneyland, you're chomping at the bit and you're not yet fully vaccinated, now's the time. Find your vaccination, get it done so that as soon as that is open, you would be eligible. So so that's the latest and greatest in Disneyland news. We're very excited as all of these new steps are rolling out. That means one step closer to the rest of us getting to go too.
Yeah.
But yeah, we're excited. So this is the week that Disneyland reopens.
Yeah.
Later this week. It's just a matter of days. Super exciting. And because of that, well, not just because of that, but one of the things, of course, we're seeing now, people are starting to make their travel plans, whether it's for this summer or later this fall, even though we're not able to see people getting the tickets yet for those dates. A lot of people are going ahead and making good faith reservations at hotels, assuming that they'll get tickets because those prices are starting to go up. And if you are looking at going at some point this year, now is a really good time to book because people are booking too. And if you want your selection, you want to have options, you're going to run out if you wait. So book your hotel. We've got ours. Thankfully, we had booked ours during quarantine. In fact, I think we're on our third booking. We kept pushing it back when the parks weren't open. And thankfully, so we've got that secure. So we're looking forward to that. But it'll be later in the year. Not super, super close, but close enough.
Yeah.
All right. So with everyone making plans, one of the things people are asking is, should I stay on property or off property? This is a typical common question. Anytime that, people have gone, whether it's their first visit or even for visits when they've already been to the park multiple times, it's always a good question to ask. And the answer is, I don't know, it depends.
It depends on the people and who you're going with, how long you're going, where you're going.
Yeah, what kind of trip you're taking.
Yeah.
We've done both.
Yep.
So we're going to start at Disneyland because we'll also talk quickly a little bit about Disney World. But Disneyland, do you recall? So you have stayed at 2 of the 3 Disneyland resort hotels, the Paradise Pier Hotel and then also Disneyland Hotel. I have also stayed at the Grand Californian a couple of times, but that was trips that were not with the family. So do you remember much? I know, I went without you multiple times. So do you remember much about those Disneyland hotels?
I remember going to like I think breakfast at the pier. Random memory, but specifically like one of the breakfasts and it was character.
Yeah, character
one.
meal. We did do that.
Yeah, it was like I think like a surf or like a beach theme.
Yeah, it was. Mm-hmm.
I have these most random specific memories.
Hey, but they're
it's so weird.
That's okay.
Yeah.
Do you remember the beach ball pillows in the room? Oh, that was like one of my favorite parts of the room in Paradise Pier Hotel. The pillows on the bed, or like the throw pillows on the bed, were beach balls, like shaped like beach balls, and you girls would play catch across the room with the beach ball and stuff. Yeah. That was the trip that Sammy came with us, and she was with us in that room.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. So anyways, so Disneyland Hotel we went to also together.
That was our first time. That was my first time going
to Disneyland Hotel.
Yeah. No, just Disneyland in general.
No.
You sure?
No, your first time was at Paradise Pier.
Yeah. Paradise Pier.
Yeah, sorry. But then I said then I was talking about the Disneyland Hotel with Aunt Heather.
Oh.
Yeah. So then, yeah. So anyway, so you've been to the Disneyland Hotel. Do you remember much about that hotel?
Nope.
Do you remember the headboards that light up?
Nope.
And have the fireworks? And
no, I remember that at Disney World, but I don't remember that at
Disney World has that in the New Orleans or the Port Orleans in the Royal Theater or Royal themed rooms.
Yeah.
They also had them though at Disneyland Hotel, and they have the same idea, but it was like over the castle fireworks that would light up and it would play music.
I can't tell because like I keep thinking of the
ones in
so Disney I can't World. Tell like which ones, like whether I'm remembering those ones or I am actually vaguely remembering.
Yeah. Do you remember the pool at Disneyland Hotel with the water slide themed like monorail?
No.
Oh, my goodness.
Oh, I have a bad memory. That was also like 7 years ago.
It was actually probably about 7 years ago at Disneyland.
Like, I think 7.
Yeah,
roughly?
The Disneyland Hotel. Yeah, about that. Probably around there, close to that, 6
maybe
or 7.
7, 8.
Anyways, so but we've also stayed at a few of the off-property hotels. In fact, more recently, that's where we stayed as a family more. So what stands out to you about those?
You literally can just walk from the hotel to Disneyland.
Yeah. I mean, we could do that at the Disney hotels as well.
Yeah.
And we did.
But I mean, like, you can be off property and still just walk maybe like 10 minutes at most.
Yeah, depending on where you're staying.
Yeah, so like our last time it was like
super close.
Yeah, it was like right across.
Yeah, I think it was like a 6-minute walk or something, so maybe 7 from where we were the last time. But other ones we've stayed at, we're getting close to 10 minutes. There have been some that one we stayed at was actually on Ball. I don't know if it's road or street, but it's on the other side of like downtown Disney and passed over on the other side of.
Did we have to use like whatever it's called, like the bus or something?
We sometimes did, but we didn't have to. It actually was pretty close to the Mickey and Friends parking lot. And so which is right next to the cast member parking lot. And so we would walk around the corner from the hotel through straight smack dab through the cast member parking lot over to the Mickey and Friends parking garage, and then get on the tram there and take the tram into downtown Disney. And that's how we went.
I remember that actually.
Yeah. So it was kind of a mixture between that, but they did have
the tickets for like the bus or whoever we used.
Because there also was the shuttle that would come around, and sometimes we used that, but sometimes if we knew it was going to be a while before it came around, we just walked.
Yeah.
So it just kind of depended on our mood and the timing of everything. But anyways, okay, so we've had those different experiences on both on and off property. Let's talk about the Disneyland Resort hotels, the benefits of staying on there. And before we go any further, first I will say, staying at the Disney hotels, whether at Disneyland or Disney World, they do have benefits and perks that usually will pertain to most often like in the parks and stuff, like your actual vacation, that we can't really cover right now because they have been kind of postponed and sometimes canceled. We don't know yet. There's just a lot up in the air because of COVID. So things like we do know at Disney World, the early entry, how that's been adjusted. The extra magic hour has kind of turned into just an early entry option. But Disneyland, we don't know yet how that's going to look. We don't know yet if there will be dining plans at Disney World or Disneyland. They haven't had one at Disneyland for years and years and years. But we don't know yet if fast passes, there'll be benefits staying at the parks on either property. We just don't know. There's too many we don't know. We can't speculate. And so we're not going to talk about that. But to be fair, for us at least, even though those are benefits and perks when you do stay on property, For us, that hasn't been a deciding factor. Those are just like icing on the cake for us. So we have made our decisions not necessarily because of those. Those are just extra bonuses when we do stay on property.
Yeah.
So anyways, but we will talk about the pros and cons of things that are not changing, like location and amenities and those kinds of conveniences that you can count on still. So we've got the 3 hotels. What's the first thing? And we kind of talked about already. What's one of the, well, actually, what would you mention first off the list of what's the benefit of staying at a Disney hotel on property at Disneyland? Well, I have a cheat sheet if you need a look.
I'm just, okay, so yeah, we talked about it just now, like the location.
Yeah.
Well, we talked more about like the off property, but like just also like on property, it's right there. I mean, Grand Californian, whatever it's called, that one is like, it has an entrance right into like the park. We've gone through that entrance multiple times.
Yeah, so at the Grand Californian, it is literally right up next to California Adventure Park.
Yeah.
As you're walking in the park over along by Grizzly River Run and over by the Redwood Creek Challenge, all of that area, you can see the hotel is right next to you. You can see the hotel room balconies, and that there is an entrance. You walk by on that path. That is the hotel going into the park from that location, and only the Grand Californian guests can use that entrance now. It used to be that all of the Disney hotel guests, whether you were staying at Paradise Pier or Disneyland Hotel or Grand Californian, could use that entrance, but they have changed that. At least for now, you have to be staying at the Grand Californian. That change came before the COVID shutdown. So I don't think that it will come back after things calm down. I think that that's a change that they had made because they were changing security entrance locations and they were kind of spreading those out. And for that reason, you have to be staying at Grand Californian or with someone who's staying at the Grand Californian to use that entrance. But it's a definite benefit for those guests. Yes. It's super close. You're on Grizzly River Run, you get drenched. Well, just go up to your room, change, come back. I mean, it's so easy and convenient. You cannot get closer to the parks than that. Disneyland Hotel, for the Disney hotels, it's a little bit further. It's a 7-minute walk to the park gates. But there's the monorail entrance, which is right next to the Disneyland Hotel. It's only a couple of minutes for a walk. And that will take you right into, it's a park entrance, that monorail station. It'll take you right into the Tomorrowland in Disneyland Park. So that's almost as good as the entrance to Disney's California Adventure through Grand Californian. Paradise Pier doesn't have a special entrance, but still, yeah, the location is really good. You can walk everywhere. Very convenient. You never leave the bubble. So that's nice. All right, what else? Let's see. The room amenities. Standard rooms, all of these hotels do have some suite options, but to be honest, they're really expensive. It's almost better to just get 2 standard rooms and get them connecting. But the standard rooms will sleep either 4 or 5 people. Standard rooms, it doesn't cost more to have a 5th sleeper, but you do want to make sure if you're going to need that 5th bed or the 5th sleeper, that you have 5 people on your reservation, because otherwise you might not get one. Not all the standard rooms have the 5th sleeper, but all of the hotels do have 5th sleepers available for standard rooms. So I don't know if that makes sense, but that's an option, and it's convenient for families that have that 5th individual. So that's convenient. They all have mini fridges. They do not have microwaves. That's a con. But they do all have mini fridges. They also all have queen beds. So you don't have to worry about double beds, which can, in some of the other hotels, some of them do. That's what they have. So that's nice. Let's see. Hotel amenities. Do you want to talk about any of those?
They all have pools.
Nice pools.
Yes.
And I will admit, the Paradise Pier pool, it's on the rooftop, which is kind of cool. It's not super fancy. It doesn't have really much of a theme up there. It's just that there's a pool, but they do have 2 water slides up there.
Pool on the roof.
It's a pool on the roof, so that's cool. But like we mentioned before, the Disneyland Hotel has monorail themed water slides, which just makes it extra cool. And it's a really nice pool. Same with the Grand Californian has a really nice pool. Really beautiful and themed. They have a nice water slide that's like sliding through the rocks, almost like you're going down a natural water slide or something down a river. But anyways, yeah, so they've got great pools. They also have great dining. All of them have character meal dining options. You don't have to be staying at a Disneyland hotel to dine at any of those locations. You can make a reservation, but it is convenient to have it right there where you're staying. It's just nice. Anything else?
You're in the Disney bubble.
Yeah, you never leave.
That's probably like the best, the biggest thing
Yeah.
for me. Just and the location.
Yeah.
But like those two for me are the biggest thing about like the hotels, and like
it just feels you're in the
just
magic
in the
still.
bubble.
Yeah, so super nice. The cons are these are the most expensive options that you're going to have in that area.
Very expensive.
Very expensive. I mentioned they don't have microwaves in the rooms, so that can be a con. Also, they don't have free breakfast unless you're staying at concierge level, in which case I wouldn't call that free because those rooms are a bit more expensive. But they don't have a free breakfast available at the hotel. You can get breakfast at the hotel, like I said, the character meals or something like that, but you're going to pay for it. So, okay, now let's go off property. Off property, you have a lot more options, tons and tons of options, and depending on how close you want to be, but even if you're looking just in a mile radius, you're going to have dozens of options. And if you're willing to go further out to save some money, you have hundreds of options. So lots of variety as far as styles, sizes, prices, possibly themes, all of that. So, yeah. But what are some other, and some of those locations are close.
Yeah. Like I said, the one we went to was about 6 minutes away.
Yeah, walking. Yep. So, I mean, you can stay, the closest one, I think, is the Best Westerns plus Park Place, directly across the street from the entrance to the resort. And it's on South Harbor, and it is probably like a 5-minute walk to the parks. And that is less than from the Disneyland Hotel. So, I mean, it's a really good location. So some of these right here, right there on South Harbor are excellent walking locations, really easy. I would say on Harbor from anywhere from Bald to Coachella, or I guess kind of more like the freeway where like Howard Johnson is on that side, the right side of the freeway. Anything beyond that wouldn't count. But and all the way down to Coachella, easily, really easy walk. Once you cross Coachella, if you're just 1 or 2 hotels down, then that's probably fine too. But the further you go, of course, the further out you're getting. But walking from, say, Coachella all the way down to the entrance, yeah, probably like maybe 11 minutes or so, 12 minutes, depending on how quickly you walk. You maybe could do it faster, but if you've got little legs with you, then yeah, 11 minutes or so. But really fairly convenient. You're going to have, let's see, different room amenities, sometimes more amenities in these hotels.
You usually have a microwave.
Yeah, you almost always have the mini fridge, but you often have a microwave in
Ours
these.
Ours didn't, like our last one didn't.
Yeah, so they don't all.
Yeah.
And you'll definitely want to check what those amenities are. They'll vary at every hotel, but it is not difficult to find a hotel that has both a fridge and a microwave when you're off property.
Yes.
Also, a lot of them have some sort of free breakfast. Whether it's a full-on hot cooked buffet or if it's just a grab-and-go bag, and anything in between. The continental breakfasts, a continental plus a waffle maker, so all the different levels, but a lot of them, not all of them, but a lot of them have something, which is nice.
Yeah. And then they also, some have shuttles.
Yeah.
Which we talked about a little.
Yeah, the very closest ones don't have access to a shuttle because they really don't need it. But once you start getting a few minutes out, then they have access to a shuttle that most cases you're paying for, but there are some that have their own private shuttles that are free to their guests, and it's only that hotel uses it. So the shuttles generally in that area are public. They call them ART. It stands for Anaheim Resort Transit, and they have each shuttle will have like say 5 hotels, and they just do one big circle between those 5 hotels and the Disney parks, and they run in that circle nonstop, same direction all day, every day. And so you can get the passes for these shuttles, and you can get these when you're making your booking your reservation, if you're booking it through like a travel agent or directly through Disney or however you're doing it. If you're doing it as a package, oftentimes that's offered as a package element. But even if you don't, when you get there at the hotel, you can get the passes at the front desk. So a lot of those they're on that shuttle line, which is convenient. And then, like I said, some have their own free shuttle, which is even more convenient. So yeah, that's definitely a plus. Price is a lot less, a lot
Yeah.
less. I'm going to say though, when you're on South Harbor, for what you're paying, you have to realize you're paying for the location, not necessarily for quality. So you're still paying easily well over $200 a night when you're staying across the street, even though these hotels are really just motels. They have exterior doors to go into your rooms. They are not super fancy. When you get in there, most of the time, you're gonna look around and you're gonna be like, this room could use a fresh coat of paint. Or they
Is
could.
that the one we went to last time?
It's one of them. Yeah, one of them. The Grand Legacy at the Park. That one's a little bit newer. But yeah, it just depends. But most of them have that. Well, and that one was a motel style still, where it was outdoor exterior entrance to the room and everything. But anyway, so none of them are super, super high quality. They're not like super nice hotels, even though you're paying what you would expect to have that kind of quality. Because remember, you're paying for location.
Yeah.
And pretty much all of those know that, and they don't need to put more into it, and so they don't. So but it's and then if you have like hotel like rewards programs, you can either be earning points or redeeming points sometimes for your stay. So that's a benefit of staying off property sometimes. Cons are that you leave that bubble that you love.
Yep.
And you know it, because once you exit the property, immediately it's real life.
You're not in Disney anymore.
Yeah, and especially at night, there will be people there, not necessarily panhandling completely, but you'll have almost always somebody playing some musical instrument with their hat out to take donations and stuff. And they used to have, because there's a bus stop literally right across the street from the entrance, and they used to have benches, and almost every night, I mean, anytime, there'd be homeless sleeping on the benches. And that's just part of being in a city. But when you're at Disney, that's not always the feeling you're going for. And so, walking your kids home out of Disney at night, it's not the image you're wanting to have them walk through and past. They've taken those benches out, so that doesn't happen as often anymore. But you're back in the real world.
Yeah.
When you go back to your hotel. And they're just not as nice. Like I said, they're just not as nice as the Disney hotels. Okay, so those are the differences between Disney World or Disneyland's on-property and off-property options. We have stayed at both, and we usually lately stay off-property mostly because of budget.
Yeah.
It's just convenient, and
it's not like we're staying at the hotel that much anyways.
Yeah, it's not enough, the pros and cons and stuff, it's not enough to make us feel like we have to stay on property. Sure, it's nice, but if we can do 2 trips staying off property instead of 1 trip staying on, I'd rather take the 2 trips staying off.
Definitely.
Or if it's a matter of being able to go at all or not, then I'd rather go. And that's pretty much how we feel on that one. So now moving over to Disney World, we'll try not to take as much time, but Disney World is a completely different situation, totally different beast. And so let's see, what are some of the big difference Disneyland and Disney World? We've talked about this before.
Off property is a lot farther.
Yeah, because remember, we've said this, Disneyland property is like 1 square mile. That's all of it right there in a tiny little space. Disney World,
surrounded by light.
And it's surrounded right up to it with hotels and restaurants and all that, 7-Eleven.
Disney World is most definitely not that.
No, so Disneyland is over 40 square miles large. And so if you're not on property, you're nowhere close to the parks. I mean,
you're 40 times the
size
of Disneyland.
Yeah. And so definitely a totally different situation. Whereas at Disneyland, there were 3 hotels that were Disney owned. Now you've got dozens, literally dozens of Disney World Resort hotel options. And now you do see a variety in the Disney owned properties. You're going to see a variety in style, size, theme, price, and amenities and things like that. So now you do have a wider range. And so if you're on a budget, to be honest, the budget equivalent of staying like across the street or on South Harbor, you don't even have to be exactly across the street. You could even be down the street a little bit. The equivalent is staying at a value resort on property at Disney World. You're not spending a lot more to stay on property at Disney World. And so there's a lot of, so if you're on a budget, it's still possible to stay on property. It's very possible, very doable to stay on property at Disney World. In this case, the location is kind of funny because nobody is near everything. It's so big, you kind of pick where you want to be.
Yeah. You have to pick like where you're gonna probably be the most and what days you're willing to take longer to get certain places.
Yeah, for sure. And so so that is a factor there at the Disney World resorts. But being on property or closer, at least. That's, you know, you can't be close to everything at once, but you're at least on property and you're closer. Transportation is free once you're on Disney World property. They have, no matter wherever you're staying, you can get to any of the parks, including the water parks, including it's not called Downtown Disney, but they're Disney Springs, which is the equivalent there. So you can get to all of those places using buses, ferries, monorails, the Skyliner, which is new. All these. Yeah, it's new. It's a gondola that goes from.
I learned something.
There's 2 parks that have access to that, Epcot and Hollywood Studios, and then a few of the resorts, including a couple value resorts. There's a Skyliner stop right in between Pop Century and Art of Animation, and that is great because usually the value resorts only have buses to get anywhere, and now this gives those resorts the option to have the Skyliner in some cases. That's too
nice.
Yeah, it is nice. So yeah, transportation is free and it works pretty well. It just is a matter of learning how it works and figuring out which is the right one for wherever you're going when you're going. And that's something that does take a little bit of research, or if you've booked your travel with a travel agent that specializes in the Disney travel, they're already familiar with that and then they can give you those tips. But let's see, what else? So Disney World hotels, they all have nice pools.
Yes.
And some of them have water slides and, you know, really cool play areas and stuff. So yeah, I forgot to ask because I forgot to mention at the start of the Disney World talk, as a family, we've stayed on property and off property, but Aurora, you've only ever stayed on property.
I think so, yeah.
Because
my first time was at Pop Century, and I don't think I've ever had any other. Well, no, I've had other things, but I don't think I've ever had any off property.
No, you haven't been off property because the last time we stayed off property was before you were born. And then once we started staying on property, we're like, yeah, that's it. We're never going back. It's just so convenient and so much closer. And you have so many different things available to you in that way. But yeah, so you've stayed at a few, you've stayed at a variety, you've stayed at almost all of the different, pretty much all of
Pop Century. I had the Animal
Kingdom Lodge when we stayed, Disney Vacation Club.
Other names.
Well, Port Orleans, like we mentioned before.
Right.
So So anyways.
Yeah, actually, is that the only 3? How many times have I gone? Like 3?
Is it only 3?
No, I think. Wait, hold up. When I was 5, I went when we went as a family with that big trip.
Yeah, we also went as a family when you were 5, but yeah.
No, I meant
with Grandma.
Yeah. It was a big trip, and then I went with Debbie.
Yeah, that might be it. Might just be 3 for you so far.
I feel like there's a 4th time.
Yeah. Well, anyways, so they all have. So what do you remember? What stands out to you the most from staying on property at Disney World?
They're all Disney.
Yeah, they are all Disney themed. But what surprises some people is that they're not overwhelmingly Disney themed. Like they're not not in your face, not the way that like say Disneyland Hotel or even
like I remember like Animal Kingdom Lodge, there was like references to like Lion King, many places, like that little symbol was places, but it's not like in your face. It's just kind of subtle.
It's not loud and obnoxious or anything like that.
And then like the Port Orleans with the royal.
Yeah, we stayed in the royal rooms. Yeah.
The only thing that really, not even that, because like I was about to say the headboard where fireworks, but it wasn't at the castle. It was kind of like, it was just like a bayou.
Over the bayou. Yeah.
Because because the story of the rooms is that, what was it, like Princess, like Tiana's like all the other princesses gave something to
Yeah,
her.
so her friends had come to visit her
Yeah.
and they each left a gift. And so
Right.
you can go around the room looking, and so you can find
Right,
different.
and like the faucets are like little lamps.
Yeah,
but, like,
Genie's magic lamp.
it's
yeah.
like there's obvious, like they are obvious, but they're also very subtle.
Yeah, so
So,
it's
like-
not loud and obnoxious, but it's really cool. It's fun.
Yeah.
And so a lot of the resorts are that way. They're kind of like a vacation inside a vacation, because if you want to go to the Caribbean, well, you might go to Caribbean Beach Resort, or if you'd like to go to the desert, you go to or like down south, you go to Coronado Springs, or if you want to go back to Victorian times, you go to the Grand Floridian, or if you want to go to the islands, go somewhere like you'll head over to the Polynesian Village Resort. And so like you go and they are completely themed for that, but then you will see Disney touches and hidden Mickeys and references to certain characters that fit that theme. There are a couple that are a little bit more loud, especially in the Value Resort area.
I don't remember what Pop Century was like.
Pop Century has changed since the time we did go to, because they did renovations.
Oh, the sun is so bright.
I know, the sun's coming through and making us all super shiny.
Yeah.
But,
there we go. We're just gonna.
I know, I keep kind of scooting over a little bit. We need to stop doing this late in the day. But anyways,
I'll just stay
So-
here for the remainder of the time.
we need to give you some sunglasses or something.
Yeah.
So anyways, some of the hotels do have a bit more Mickey Mouse and big characters that are larger than life. Those are primarily over at the Value Resorts, like Art of Animation has themed rooms. All of the rooms are
I
themed
remember
there.
the Pop Century has those statues.
Yes, and they still have
Lady
those.
And like,
Lady and the Tramp type. Yeah,
I
that
remember
one.
that specifically because of our home video, because we have like you put
That
the
was in
pictures
it,
on there,
yeah,
and
yeah.
like that's the only thing actually.
Yeah, and they
Huh.
So Pop Century has
I don't remember it, but I remember
each
watching
building
it.
is themed after a decade, and so it'll have things pertinent to that decade, and it'll be larger than life, huge icons and stuff, and it's kind of
Huh.
fun. Same with the all-star resorts. There's a music theme, a movie theme, and a sports themed resort, and so all of those will have those types of big icons and things like that. But for the most part, most of the Walt Disney World resorts are a little bit more subtly themed, especially as you get into the moderates and deluxes.
Yeah.
So that's pretty cool. They also have, I think we already talked about the pools, right? They have
I think so.
pools.
Yeah.
We talked about the dining. They don't have free breakfast. Again, none of the Disney resort hotels have free breakfast, but they all have food available there, a food court or a sit-down food menu. Some of them have character meals. It just depends on which resort. Those are usually over at the deluxe resorts. But yeah. Now going off property when you're at Walt Disney World.
Sorry, it says lots of options. But
There are lots of options.
No. When I read it, my brain thought I said pains.
Lots of pains. Well, depending on who you're talking to, that is very well the case, because the pros and cons are a bit different. Now that you're losing a lot of conveniences, the only pro, honestly,
Oh my gosh, the
I know
sun.
the sun. Sorry. If you're watching on YouTube, we apologize. We're
Yeah,
going to try
I'm
to
just
do
gonna-
that. Yeah, you're going to shift. We're going to sit
Yeah.
back to back. And that doesn't work for me. You can do that. But
There we go.
I'm just going to have to be radiant. But so anyways, when you're staying off property at Walt Disney World, really the only benefit that I can think of is to save money. You do have more options, like if you want to rent a house, if you want to stay at a timeshare. That's the only thing that would make me feel like I would consider it personally. But again, if it's a matter of you being able to go or not go, and you can only go by staying off property because of the way that your finances are and what you found, what deals you found, by all means, stay off property, because it's not the end of the world. We have stayed there before. We had a great time. We happened to be sharing a timeshare with my sister and her family, and it worked out perfectly. Honestly, it was great. The only thing was the next time when we went and we stayed on property, we're like, oh, now we get it. And that's, for us, it's just worth it to stay on property. But staying off property is not a bad thing. You just want to consider the location is going to be further. You're going to have to figure out your transportation. If you have not driven, you're probably going to want to rent a car, because even when they have transportation available, some of the hotels do offer a shuttle. It's not very frequent. A lot of them, it'll be like one shuttle in the morning going there and one shuttle in the evening coming home. And so you're really limited. You don't have the flexibility and the easiness, and they're usually just going to like the Ticket and Transportation Center, which is over near Magic Kingdom, and then you have to get on a bus to go over to another park. And so it's like it's really gets a little complicated and a lot more time consuming. And so just factor that in, whether it's into your budget for your own rental car, which then also includes the parking fees, or what other arrangements you're going to make. Some people Uber it, but whatever ends up working for you, but figure you're going to have to plan for that. You're going to have a variety of amenities then. If you're staying like, say you've got a large family going, multi-generation, maybe you're doing a family reunion or something, then, maybe you want to stay at a nice house, a big house where you're all together. You're not gonna be able to find that on property very well. I mean, not going to say it can't happen. You could get in a 3-bedroom tree house, but those are really expensive. So going into a house off property is definitely going to give you benefits. Sometimes they have pools, you've got a full kitchen, you've got a lot more space. So, amenities are going to vary, but maybe that's what you need. But basically, really the only thing I can think of that is the benefit is the price is lower. And for us personally, like I said, we have done it. And then as soon as we started staying on properly, we decided we would not do that again unless we had no choice.
Yeah.
I think that honestly, though, I have been thinking about this. Right now, if you were going like this year, maybe this is the year to try staying off property, because the benefits of staying on property, aside from the location convenience and the transportation, the other benefits that are usually available to guests really aren't right now because of COVID. Like I said, the early entries and potentially using a dining plan or having early access to fast passes, things like that are not going on right now. So kind of like you're not missing as much if you're staying off property this year. But I still would prefer to stay on property. It's just so nice staying in that bubble, being within that property. Like I said, it's so big anyways. The further out you go, the further away you are. And so, yeah, do you feel the same?
Yeah.
Yeah. So anyways, okay. So that's our debate between the on property versus off property for both. Like I said, they're very different. One destination, we do one thing usually, and the other, we pretty much always do the other. And so it just depends, and it might depend for you too. But thanks for joining us. Sorry about our radiant faces. I almost feel like we're glowing,
like right
shiny.
where I'm normally at. I'm just all lit up and it's awful.
I know, it looks like we're super shiny, like we have oily skin.
It looks like we're sunburned and
okay. This is weird. The flames will not burst out of us. We promise. Anyways, we'll do better on our lighting next time.
Yeah.
We started out okay. I guess we just went too long this time.
Yeah. Maybe have the blinds closed.
Yeah. Anyways, okay. Well, thank you so much for joining us. We will see you next week.
See you.